It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Pujan Ghelani. Mr. Ghelani is working as the Director of Partnership and Business Development at Symphony AI. Today, Mr. Ghelani will briefly overview us about smart operations with predictive and generative AI.
Thank you, Vivek. One topic that probably I'd want to focus in on is that of smarter operations with predictive AI and generative AI. I think it's particularly important of a time to have this chat, just because I think there's a lot of conversations around AI, a lot of debates, the pros and the cons. But I think importantly, from an enterprise standpoint, for people like all of us that work in the industrial space, it's important to remove the noise or isolate that noise and really focus in on what is it that can drive value, I think, to each of our businesses, right? Or to each of your businesses as well. And that's really what I want to share with you today, which is how I believe or we perceive things to be in the market today based on a variety of different industrial companies that we work with, that we talk to, not just in India, but across the globe and across a variety of different segments as well, right? So, but right into it, the way we look at the digital transformation journey, and I think every manufacturing company, every industrial enterprise that does exist today is perhaps somewhere in this spectrum, right? The spectrum being either they're in a pen and paper based mode, and the opportunity for service providers is that of digitizing certain processes or instructions or workflows, all the way up through a very highly mature organization where they are leveraging or they are aggregating, orchestrating, they are transforming their data, they're leveraging their data already, and they're actually then looking to leverage or use co-pilots on top of that to actually get richer insights for their user personas as well, right? So again, these are the two extremes. Reality is that each manufacturer, depending on the region that they're operating in, depending on their level of maturity, whether it's with data or cultural maturity or equipment maturity as well, will lie somewhere in this spectrum, right? And it's extremely important to, I think, first identify along with the operator, along with the industrial company, the enterprise, where in that spectrum they do actually lie. I think because that is where you can then start to make progress towards moving up that ladder from, let's say, simply digitizing processes and workflows or data through to, again, leveraging capabilities of predictive AI, whether it's on predictive maintenance types of applications or process optimization types of applications as well, right? And then, of course, like I said, you've got the co-pilots, which are now getting a lot richer, a lot more contextual in terms of the insights that they are able to generate and then provide to end users as well. Now, of course, for each one of them, it's not a one size fits all. As a solution provider, it's also important to understand some of the nuances within them and how to address them as well. So again, for instance, to digitize manufacturing and maintenance processes, generally what we've seen really work out is a simple smartphone, not even a tablet, not even a wearable, actually making sense to allowing maintenance technicians, for example, or maintenance operators actually walk through specific work instructions or inspection lists in terms of what actions need to be carried out, right? The second one, in terms of automating certain processes, there are disparate data sources already available. Not often are they actually leveraged, right? And so are there quicker fixes that can be deployed to actually drive quicker insights, to automate certain workflows, automate certain data flows in terms of making more sense, in terms of identifying what is that fastest time to value and providing a dollars and cents kind of incentive to the operators. Of course, I think the purpose for all of this data capturing and as well as the digitizing of a lot of this data is to get richer insights, right? And the richer insight really is to augment your decision making. So no matter where, again, you lie in that range of experience or the industry or the domain that you're operating in, I think typically having a system of intelligence such as an AI platform generally does help in terms of providing you with richer insights to actually make those better decisions as well, right? And this again, the difference today being that we're able to leverage data from variety of different data sources. So previously it would just be typically on IT applications or an ERP application, maybe some certain data that you're collecting through tests that you're conducting every 2 weeks, every 1 month, every 3 months. Today, however, it's changed with the plethora of IoT devices, with the ability or the cheaper computing power that is now available. You have a range of different data types and data sources available to actually analyze and make better sense of from a decision-making standpoint as well. And that's obviously where AI is an important aspect or an important layer to add on top of this, right? And then, of course, I mentioned this a couple of times already, but leveraging this data that you do have to augment that decision making, you then have, co-pilots available to address very user persona or user role specific tasks and jobs. So again, from an AI and a co-pilot standpoint, what we're seeing at least is that it is very driven by use cases and very driven by the user persona or that user itself who's actually trying to solve them. We don't believe it's going to replace and take away, all the jobs that are out there. But I think it's really going to enhance your ability to actually be more productive, get more output, get more done through, I think, leveraging, very focused, very pointed use cases through co-pilots that you do have, right? Now, I know in the interest of time, maybe I'll just take one very quick slide, which is what are we really trying to address from kind of the three broader buckets, right? So when you consider what I mentioned earlier, which is the lens of looking at it from the asset, process, and people perspective, and the second is maturity of capabilities, right? Data, change management, etc. But maturity in terms of where in the spectrum you do lie. Again, our perspective is having a platform that allows you to scale no matter where in that spectrum you lie, but keeping in mind that each of these three important pillars are able to scale along with you is, I think, the important aspect here, right? Now, again, from an asset standpoint, while predictive analytics is, again, perhaps the holy grail, is that really the most achievable or most realistic target to have today? Maybe not. Depends again on that maturity, which is where a fundamental step of having certain practices for asset maintenance, whether today it's, as long as it's not reactive and you're on that journey of preventive to then predictive, that's an improvement. Reliability and having checks that you're conducting, whether it's vibration or other condition monitoring checks, but ensuring reliability of your equipment is obviously important. Now, all of that data can then be used to feed in to models that provide predictive analytics from an asset-centric and an asset standpoint as well. Similarly, from a process standpoint, generally what is done today is in a control room, you'll have operators looking at various screens, various parts of that process, and they will generally try to react to the number of alarms and number of hooters that are typically sound. Practically impossible to address and manage each one of the alarms that actually does get raised. And so that's where there is a very critical need to optimize the process or allow operators to optimize the process by combining the data that's available through data sources, variety of them, as well as through the experience of the operators itself to again rightly manage the decision making and lower or reduce the number of alarms as well. Just because, again, we're able to do that today, given the advancements that we've made from a computing and a technology standpoint as well. Similarly, process related to batch manufacturing or discrete manufacturing as well, being able to at least today track certain important metrics, KPIs, whether it's from an inventory, material, or quality standpoint, but then moving up through to a co-pilot stage where you can actually create and get dashboards on the fly for a process that you have enabled this with, right? Whether it's an MES or a MOM type solution, but really to help with the planning, scheduling, and execution of certain production orders, and then integrating all of that data is going to allow you to actually get there, right? And so really from our standpoint, this is really how customers or end users, industrial companies, industrial use cases are being addressed with and from a perspective of predictive and generative AI by considering three aspects: assets, people, and processes, but then combining that with the digital maturity or data maturity of the organization itself. So that's really all I have.